The European Convention on Human Rights has been reproduced by the European Union, and that's called the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union. That is it's a mirror, and actually, in fact, it's a bit stronger in terms of in some cases than the other ones. But the important point is whether or not any of these charters, whoever has them, and whatever courts you can go to, it really is an important issue about, how effective are they in the end? What happens on the ground in terms of, for example, if we're talking about individual rights, about civil liberties and so on, and I think, I'm always quoting in this connection the judge called Learned Hand, a lovely name, an American judge called Learned Hand, and he said in the 1940s, he said that I think we repose too much faith and trust in courts and constitutions to defend our liberty. When liberty dies in the hearts and minds of men and women, there's nothing that courts and constitutions can do to save it. But it really does. I think there's a real truth in that how much freedom we have in matters that you might think are dealt with by courts of human rights, like about police powers, about surveillance, about arrest and so on and so forth. It really does depend in the end, I think, on, the pressure that people are prepared and able to put up about that. And this comes back to your point about the demos and about, could we have a European demos and a European democracy? Well, of course we could, and that might be a good idea. As Gandhi said about, when asked about European civilization, that would be a good idea. It might be a good idea, but that's not what we've got. And that's, we make our own history, but not in circumstances of our own choosing. And it's in the historical form of the nation state. I'm not going to embark upon what I would say is a definition of the demos, the people who do vote in any particular constituency, any country or place or region. But surely one essence of a demos is the agreement of everybody involved. Let's get together and make laws under which we will live. That's a crude summary of it, but it's an important summary, I hope. That's what it's about. Nobody in the 28 European countries did that. That isn't what people had. Different things in mind, and above all, the institutions had in mind managing everybody. And there's a very managerial, conception to it. I think the Scotland-Wales thing is that the history that we've got with those countries is that we've lived together with them, for a long time. I was completely against Scotland, going away. My advice would be don't go. Join together with us. Be more powerful together. On a genuine internationalist basis. It's not a genuine internationalism. To say I'll agree with an undemocratic supra-state body that will dictate, like they dictated to the Greek people. The Greek people said they asked for a referendum twice. They got it second time around, and then they voted by 63% to reject the terms that the EU offered. And the EU said, you're going to have these terms, and the Syrian government, the government of Greece, went along with the EU and said, okay, we'll impose your terms against the 63% of the Greek people who didn't want to accept them. We'll impose those terms and some harsher ones to teach them not to do it again, effectively. That's what happened in Greece. And now you say what you like. You say, well, maybe it was for the good of the Greek people that happened. Well, the Greek people expressed their view on that, and they're entitled to have it implemented. That's what democracy means. You take your choice and you make your choice and you live with it, and you proceed on that basis. You got somebody else coming and saying, no, I know you don't want to settle the financial crisis in this way, but we tell you how to settle your financial crisis. That's how we'll do it. Well, you'll go bankrupt. We don't care. In effect, this is what was being said. It was a negotiation. So I don't think that. I think that. It's a sort of the approach, to people is not that of a demos. It's not that of a people coming together to agree to live under, one rule. There was the most intense Project Fear. There was, it wasn't a very high quality one. It was remarkable for putting no positive things forward about the European Union. Well, because the European Union is a trade body. that's managing the economies in the interests of, the rich, in the interests of the better off. And that's what it's doing. So nobody's going to what can you put forward? It's got various cultural committees or something. I mean, everybody's saying, oh, we'll feel isolated now that we're not in the European Union. Well, what do you mean you feel isolated? Did you need the permission of the Council of Ministers to go to Paris? What will it mean? Or you'll have to get a visa or something. Well, you won't have to get a visa. But even if you were, what does that matter? People were travelling to Europe before the European Union, travel afterwards. No, the interesting thing was that the government of the day put a pamphlet in everybody's home with very detailed arguments about it, quite a substantial pamphlet, into everybody's hands in their homes. And the government said, you've got to vote, we really recommend you vote Remain. Yeah? And the opposition party said that, Labour. And the Liberal Democratic Party said that, and the Bank of England said that, and Barack Obama said that, and the International Monetary Fund said that, and the World Bank said that, and of course Jean-Claude Juncker said that, and every economist in town, apart from 10% of them, apart from that one guy they drag out from time to time, all the economists said that, all the academics said that, and Bob Geldof and all the stars said that, and every celebrity said it. It was incredible weight of opinion. I mean, that took something. That took something in those people. It took something to say, actually, we don't trust you about this. We don't. I know this they were lied to. Please, I think that's the most risible accusation of all. They were lied to, as if people are stupid, as if they don't understand what happens. They were lied to. Like, what do you mean that lie? We're all in it together. And other lies. It's about particular, as if they don't understand the particular facts and figures. What an insulting comment on the intelligence of ordinary people and the people who voted Leave. But the people withstood it, and they withstood all the cajoling and the appeals to self-interest, the appeals to your the appeals to your pocket. But the Leavers, 7% of them say, 6% of them said that was what they were concerned about. And so I think, that shows, just that fact shows there was something going on. But I just wanted to get away from this from a second ago. You pulled me successfully back into it. But the point is this. It's happened. That's the point. It's done. It turned their world upside down. As, the government, and even those the joke leavers like Boris Johnson, the joke people who are in it for themselves and all the rest of it, they all got slapped. That's what happened, and not just slapped. That's just one way of putting it. They did get a slap, but most importantly, they have to go through with it. They know that. I mean, there will be trouble if they don't go through with it. There will be trouble. And so that in some shape or form, they're going to wangle around it. But the point is, that's why everything's changed. That's why it's an opportunity. That's why we should look, never mind about that. This is the event. It took place. Everybody was stunned on the morning of the 24th of June. You have rejected what the ruling strata, all the commentators and academics and so on have to say, or most of them, yeah? And you rejected it and done it. And I think that people, that's why I say we should look forward and say, well, what do we want now? And then that does come to your question about what we say. And somebody said there's no left or no right. Well, I think that's true. But in this sense, in that the right was always defending the status quo. In a sense, historically, epochally, the right is the conservative stated. What we have, we've got the development of the market economy, the developed capitalist society, and so on. That's what we've got, and that's what we. So I think I was anxious. I was just saying the right centre, the right centre, whatever you call it. That in some senses still deserves that sort of description, just if you like, from the past. But what I meant about the left was, that the left. What I meant by saying there's no left was that there's no real alternative of any cogent or convincing character being put forward. The left was the left. What is the left? The left is another word for the alternative. We can do better. This is another way of doing it. There's a whole pole of attraction and movement. There's a whole route of march and a direction in people's lives and their sense of their destiny and future. That's what we're going to do, and that was the left. And so an alternative has to be rebuilt, but the starting point has to be here, right here, right now. And as a matter of fact, I've just made a note of that. There's 9 contributions. And I have to say this, of the highest quality I can remember, I'm not just saying this, in meetings that I've been to for years, including coming here in November. The people are actually engaging with it. And so it begins. And that's the point. And we are starting, well, quite ground zero, we are starting from that position. And we are starting from a position, and the key thing is, that's why I'm looking forward, and that's why I say the challenge is to offer something. And one thing I was suggesting was to offer an improved sense of citizenship, an improved sense of what democracy and freedom mean. That what they mean is that you consciously relate to the world in which you live and the people around you with a view to doing something with them and doing it together and agreeing it and participating and being involved in it. That's what freedom is. Freedom is something practical, somebody once said. It is an activity. And so to get active again and to participate beyond, just being consulted in some sort of formal process. And so that means talking to people, and that's why talking to people on both sides of the voting in this particular referendum, and saying where you agree and disagree with them, and saying what is the conception that made you do this, or what is a conception that upsets you about it, and engaging and listening to what they have to say. And it is revealing about. I was surprised. A lot of people said after the thing, I now feel shame and there's a darkness in the land. Did you hear that? People said, yeah. Well, I don't feel shame because that's so I try not to be self-regarding. But I did feel there was a darkness, and the darkness was in the number of people calling ordinary people stupid and ignorant. And I saw something on a daily newspaper website calling them the pond life have crawled from their estates to the polling booth, and done us down. People did inhabit this. They do feel shocked and concerned, and they do feel demoralised and disoriented. Welcome to Sunderland. You might say to them, but they feel that, and so that has to be taken into account. But then you say, well, unpick it. Try and unpick it. And in a little way tonight, I'm trying to unpick what being in the EU is about. What was it about? What was it anyway? How did you depend upon it? Why did you think that this was a sort of reality that had meaning in your life, such that you now feel like Lady Di's gone? That same sense of they talk about people voted leave with the emotion. What a wave of emotion came from the disappointed. Sheer emotion, came, and you just said, well, and I think that approach in particular is appropriate with the younger people, whatever the numbers are on that, and it's contested as well, but the 18 to 24 group do definitely appear, to have, they did by Remain, did not just vote Remain, but they have grown up in that world, and it is not at all surprising. It's not at all surprising, actually, that they might be quite conservative, in that. Not at all surprising that they bought into it and feel, wow, why are people against that? And that's just what I've always known, in a way that older people have got a bit more perspective on it, and so on. But you can't, you don't want to patronise, but you don't want to indulge, and so that sort of approach is particularly, I suppose, always appropriate in political, but even more so at this moment. When people, have been shocked in that way, and the conversation needs to be taken forward with them, to draw that out. And I think can only be done so positively if we as the football managers say, we take the positives out of that match.